Part 21. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 201. Kang Na didn't know why she moved this man home. This was the first time she had such close contact with a man, even though there was a thick layer of ice between them. Looking down at her severely frostbitten hands, Kang Na smiled helplessly. Not long ago, I thought such a hot summer was troublesome, but now it's better. My home has turned into an ice cellar in an instant. Now that I think about it, there is no way to bring this man home. If he just puts it in the school, I am afraid that when the students come to the school the next day, they will find that the school has turned into the North Pole. But if I don't think of a way to get rid of this cold air now, I'm afraid my home will turn into an Arctic glacier. Kang Na could only try his best to prevent the cold air from leaking out and keep it within his house. Who is this guy? Could it be that he is a human being who harbors a divine weapon, and then the divine weapon in his body went berserk? Kang Na thought this with some curiosity, and suddenly felt that this possibility was very high. If you can be sure that the man in front of you is neither a demon nor an angel nor a fallen angel, then he can only be a human with a powerful artifact. Thinking of this, Kang Na's eyes suddenly flashed with bright light. To their demons, the humans housing the artifacts are like a treasure trove. If he makes him his vassal, his strength will surely increase greatly, right? Until then, let's see what you can do to fight me, Rias. With this in mind, Sana took out the 3 remaining soldier chess pieces and planned to perform the devil's reincarnation ceremony. Each demon has up to 16 chess pieces. In addition to representing its own king, it can also give 15 chess pieces to others, which means it can have up to 15 reincarnated demons as dependents. Kang Na's chess pieces have almost been used, and now there are only 3 soldier pieces left. It's a pity that I don't have any powerful chess pieces anymore, but 3 soldiers should be enough, right? With this thought in mind, Kang Na began to draw a magic circle to prepare for the reincarnation ceremony. As for whether the man in front of him agreed or not, it didn't matter, since he couldn't refuse now anyway. Kang Na thought this way: a dependent who masters ice-type artifacts, his power must be very powerful when combined with his own. The ritual of demon reincarnation is not complicated. Just wait until the magic circle starts to operate and throw the chess pieces into the opponent's body. But after Sana threw all 3 soldier chess pieces into the frozen man's body, the girl was completely dumbfounded. Because she found herself muttering about this man. 3 soldier pieces were not enough. Then something even more strange happened to Sana. Under normal circumstances, reincarnation should have failed, and then the demon chess pieces would reappear. However, after fusing his 3 chess pieces, the man in front of him not only failed to reincarnate, but also failed to reincarnate. Even the chess pieces were not replaced. Shidori Sana's eyes widened as she watched her 3 chess pieces disappear. What on earth is going on? Kang Na scratched his head in annoyance. The reincarnation had not failed and was still in progress, but it was obvious that 3 chess pieces could not satisfy this man. Reincarnation should obviously fail and stop at this time, but why is this man's reincarnation so stuck here? Kang Na tried every means but could not stop the reincarnation ceremony. In the end, the girl could only sigh helplessly, and then sat on the spot with a decadent look on her face. What is going on? This is the first time I have encountered such a weird thing. What should I do now? The house has turned into an ice cellar, but Sana has no mind to care about it now. She is now thinking about how to take out her 3 soldier pieces. Go to your sister for help. No. It's not a big deal. I'm afraid my sister will be annoyed to death by then. Why don't you go ask Rias? Maybe she knows what's going on. Thinking like this, Kang Na looked at the frozen man in front of her again and immediately made up her mind. Rias Gremory is Sana's old rival. The two of them are enemies regardless of their disguised identities in the human world or their identities as demons in hell. Rias is the sister of Lucifer, who is also one of the 4 demon kings of hell. She is also the #1 idol in the school with both talent and beauty, and the head of the supernatural research department. With long red hair and plump breasts, as the next head of the Gremory family, a pure-blood superior demon, she is also known as the red-haired princess of killing in hell. It can be said that Sana and Rias are destined rivals, and Sana has always regarded Rias as the #1 enemy and worked hard. Kang Na was indeed unwilling to ask her enemy for help, but she couldn't just leave this guy here. Putting aside the 3 soldiers' chess pieces, if he continues to put them down like this, not only his own house, but also the entire street will turn into glacial debris soon. She used magic to slightly strengthen the seals in all aspects of the home to prevent the cold from spreading. Soon Kang Na went out. She felt that she had to act quickly, otherwise she would probably see an ice and snow castle when she came back. After arriving at the academy, Sana asked her family to ask for a leave of absence, and then went straight to the supernatural research department. Just as she thought, Rias did not go to class, but sat leisurely alone in the living room of the supernatural research department. Seeing Sana, it was obvious that Rias was also a little surprised. The red-haired girl with such majestic title as Princess of Killing tilted her head curiously and then spoke. "Interesting, what brought you here, Sana? As the student council president, are you here to catch me skipping class?" Rias asked a little funny, but Sana didn't have any intention of joking right now. "Come with me, there is something very important that you need to take a look at." Without explaining too much, Sana took Rias's hand and walked out. Hey, what's going on? What happened that made you come to me to solve it?" Rias was a little confused, but Sana turned around very seriously and spoke slowly. "It's not convenient to explain here. Anyway, you will know everything if you come to my house and take a look." Seeing Sana's rare serious look, Rias could only nod and leave the campus with Sana. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, BasedonanAnime. Chapter 202. Rias was really curious as to why Sana came to see her. Although the two are not enemies, just competitors, their relationship on campus is quite tense. Basically, there was no communication between the two of them. Even if they met, they would just look at each other coldly, then walk away in a hurry, and they rarely spoke. After all, one of them represents Lucifer, one of the 4 demon kings, and the other represents Leviathan, one of the 4 demon kings. Both of them are the first heirs of the family, and it is not an exaggeration to say that they will be the future 4 demon kings. In order to win the title of the strongest demon among their peers, it is precisely because of this that they fight each other like this. Of course, the Cold War remains a Cold War, and Rias will still help Sana at certain critical moments. For example, encountering foreign enemies, angels, or fallen angels. For example, now, although she didn't know what happened, looking at Sana's serious look, Rias didn't ask any more questions and chose to believe him and follow him. Soon after, Sana took Rias near her home. Just when Rias felt a little strange and was about to ask Sana what happened, she couldn't help but tremble. "What's going on? Why the temperature suddenly?" Rias was slightly stunned. It was summer now, but the moment she walked in front of this house, Rias couldn't help but shudder. You must know that she is a devil. Even if she is dressed in ice and snow, it will not matter, let alone feel the cold and shiver. What on earth is going on? What is in this house?" Rias was speechless in surprise, while Sana smiled bitterly. "I don't know what he is. For now, it seems that he is a human being. A human being with a powerful artifact in his body." Sana said this, and Rias looked very interested. "Oh, a human with a powerful artifact, why don't you quickly accept him as your kinsman? Why are you calling me here? Aren't you afraid that I will snatch him away?" Ria said this, and Sana could only continue to smile bitterly. It would be great if I could successfully transform him into my dependent, but I don't know what went wrong during the transformation process, and now the transformation has failed. Failed? You asked me to come over after you failed. It seems that you plan to give this family member to me? How can you be so generous? Rias had a look of disbelief on her face. You must know that the strength of your dependents represents the growth of your own strength. The more powerful your dependents are, the better results you will be able to achieve in future ranked games. Respected by more demons. Although Sana and Rias are blood relatives of the powerful 4 demon kings and the first heirs of the family, this does not mean that they will definitely become the next 4 demon kings. Hell is a world where all strength is respected. Without strength, you are nothing. As for the 4 demon kings, who stand at the apex of all demons, naturally only the strongest ones are qualified to hold the position. No. It's not a failure in the ordinary sense. I don't know what happened, so I had to call you over. I arranged the magic circle for reincarnation, and then put the soldier's chess pieces into his body. You also know that there are only 3 soldier pieces left. Sana sighed slightly as she said this. If she had a little more soldier pieces, maybe the result would be different, right? And because there were not enough chess pieces, the reincarnated human and the artifact in his body were too powerful, so the reincarnation failed. That's right, but you also know that if the reincarnation fails, the demon chess pieces will exit from the reincarnated person's body again, but my demon chess pieces did not exit, and the magic circle did not disappear. It's like reincarnation is still going on, but it's inexplicably stuck. Is there such a thing? This was the first time Rias had heard of such an interesting thing. A curious look appeared on the girl's face, and she immediately walked into the room with Sana. After walking into the room, Rias felt even colder. The entire room was covered with crystal clear ice picks. Everywhere she looked, there were dazzling ice picks. What, such terrifying power! Is this artifact the legendary god-killing tool? The highest level artifact is the God Destruction Gear, which is an artifact that can destroy gods and demon kings. God-killing tools all possess 2 or more abilities. But except for the appearance and abilities of a few widely circulated god-killing gears, Rias knew very little about other god-killing gears. At least she had not heard of the god-killing gears with powerful frost power. Pass. Even if it's not a divine annihilation tool, it's probably close to it. It was just a little cold in the house when I left. Looking at the frost all over the house, Kang Na also took a breath of cold air. Fortunately, she sealed the whole house with magic before leaving, otherwise what she would see now would be an entire frozen street. No matter what, let's stop the source of this cold air first. Ria said this, Sana nodded, and immediately the 2 girls used magic to open a path on the hard ice. Not long after, the 2 women who opened a tunnel came to the source of the cold air, in front of a man who seemed to be sleeping. Sure enough, the reincarnation ceremony was not interrupted. Why did this happen? Rias frowned deeply as she looked at the magic circle spinning under the man's body. Like Sana, this was her first time encountering such a strange situation, and she didn't know how to deal with it for a while. What should I do now? I feel like I can't hold on much longer. If this cold air spreads on this scale, the consequences will be disastrous. Seeing that Rias didn't speak, Sana also started to get close to each other. Thinking of the terrible consequences, the girl couldn't help but squeeze her palms. Does it mean that she must seek help from her sister? Wait a minute, Sana, you said this reincarnation ceremony is not over yet, right? Yes, that's right, what's wrong? Do you still remember what the teacher who taught us how to use the reincarnation ritual said when we encountered this situation? Remember, this means that the object of reincarnation is very powerful and requires multiple demon chess pieces. However, if there are not enough demon chess pieces, the reincarnation will be forcibly terminated. But the reincarnation is not suspended now, isn't it? That means. Ria said this, and Sana widened her eyes as if she guessed what she was planning to do. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Shang. Chapter 203. The number of chess pieces required for demon reincarnation depends on the potential of the reincarnated person. Under normal circumstances, for ordinary humans, one soldier chess piece is absolutely more than enough, but sometimes there are some exceptions. For those humans with extremely high potential, or with extremely powerful artifacts in their bodies, they need an additional number of chess pieces to complete normal reincarnation. One of Sana's soldier relatives, Shiroshigen, used 4 chess pieces to complete his reincarnation. It is precisely because he not only has outstanding potential, but also possesses a powerful artifact in his body. It is precisely because of this that Kang Na only has 3 chess pieces in her hand. It should have been seen a long time ago that this man's potential is just as strong as Shiroshigen's, and it won't be surprising even if he uses 8 soldier chess pieces. Although Sana and Rias are competitors, in this case, Sana will only give up to Rias the first time a human with strong potential that he cannot contract. After all, if this man becomes Rias's dependent, it will also increase the strength of hell. It is better than being discovered by the fallen angel and then killed and taken away the artifact. Although she thought so in her heart, it didn't mean that Sana approved of what Rias would do next. She has already guessed what the other party wants to do. This situation is exactly the special situation of the reincarnation contract taught in class. It means that the host is too powerful and needs multiple demon chess pieces to reincarnate. But now the reincarnated magic circle has not stopped. In theory, it can continue to put in demon chess pieces. Sana no longer has any chess pieces, so Rias is the only one who can throw in the chess pieces. Don't be ridiculous. Do you know what the consequences might be if you do this? How will you know if you don't try? What can you do in this situation now? Do you mean to kill this human being? Can you guarantee that if you kill this human being, the artifact in his body will not go wild? Ria said this and Sana fell silent. The object inside the other party's body is most likely a divine weapon at the level of a divine annihilator. They know very little about this unknown divine annihilator. In this situation, it seems that the only option is to kill the opponent, but will killing him with the artifact really prevent him from going berserk? But, there has never been a precedent for 2 demon chess pieces being put into a human body. Sana said with such difficulty, she still didn't agree with Rias's bold attempt. Don't hesitate anymore. It's better than this guy's frost getting completely out of control and spreading to the streets. If you go to hell to find my brother and your sister to solve it, who knows what will happen this time? The situation has become so bad that it is beyond control. Now is not the time to hesitate. As Ria said this, she decisively took out her demon chess piece and threw it towards the man who seemed to be sleeping there. Will it really succeed? But if he is reincarnated successfully, whose dependent will he be? Is it yours or mine? Without trying to stop Rias, Sana looked at her blankly and couldn't help but say this, while Rias turned her head and answered with a smile. At most, 1, 3, and 5 will be yours, and 2, 4, and 6 will be mine. We can use them both together on Sunday. What nonsense are you talking about? Rias' words made Sana think of something not very good, and the girl who was familiar with Rias's open personality couldn't help but blush and curse. The demon chess pieces were thrown into the man's body one after another. After throwing in 5 chess pieces, there was still no reaction. Rias gritted her teeth and threw all 8 of her demon chess pieces into the man's body. It entered the man's body, causing Kang's heartbeat to speed up involuntarily while watching. As a result, there are now a total of 11 demon chess pieces in this man's body. This is simply unimaginable. Even the demon king Beelzebub, who developed the demon chess pieces, does not know about the 11 demon chess pieces. What exactly happens when it enters a person's body? After all the 8 demon chess pieces holding Rias entered the man's body, a faint wave of power slowly spread, and then everything returned to calm. The contract succeeded or failed. Rias looked at the current situation with some confusion. The magic circle of reincarnation had disappeared. Logically speaking, reincarnation should be successful in this situation. I don't know either. Kang Na shook his head. Just when the two girls were helpless, they suddenly discovered that the frost around them was slowly disappearing. The frost has disappeared. It seems, it should be successful, right? Ria said uncertainly, but at least now it seemed that the temperature in the room had returned to a comfortable level. Look. He's moving. The man's eyelids trembled slightly, Ria said excitedly while holding Sana's arm. Kindness. Kang Na also nodded slightly, staring at the man in front of him with eyes full of expectation. It took 11 demon chess pieces to successfully reincarnate. How powerful is the demon born like this? And the artifact that resides in his body. But whose dependent should he be considered? Sana was still a little confused about this matter. Although she discovered that he used the demon chess pieces to reincarnate him, Rias paid the price of 8 chess pieces after all. Could it be that, just like what Rias said, he and she took turns using it? When she thought of this word, Kang Na's face turned red involuntarily. What does it mean to use? It's all because of this guy Rias that I got myself into chaos. The frost has completely melted away, and the temperature in the room that was bitterly cold not long ago has gradually recovered, becoming a very comfortable and slightly cool level. After looking at Sana and Rias' expectant eyes, the sleeping man finally slowly opened his eyes. Dazzling ice blue light flashed in the man's eyes, and he looked at the two girls in front of him with a faint look of confusion. It seemed that the reincarnation was successful, and the two girls breathed a sigh of relief. They were not afraid of failure in reincarnation, nor were they feeling sorry for their demon pawns. Compared with these, they are more afraid of being reincarnated into a crazy and uncontrollable monster. At that time, what a man with such terrifying power will do is completely unpredictable to them. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 204. Yu slowly opened his eyes. His memory was a little confused. The only thing he could barely distinguish in his memory was the face of the purple-haired girl, and her opening and closing mouth, which seemed to be telling him and reminding him of something. Nasha Nasha. Slowly reciting the name of the girl who haunted him in his dreams, Yu completely woke up. He was slightly stunned, and soon his eyes met the same two pairs of eyes. The owner of a pair of burgundy eyes and a pair of emerald green eyes stared at Yu very curiously. Yu was not used to such probing eyes. The atmosphere in the room fell into an awkward silence for a moment, until Rias waved her hand and spoke, breaking the silence. Hey, can you see us? Can you talk? Kang Na couldn't help but cover her face. What kind of strange question is this? Who are you? Yu, who was still not very clear about the current situation, asked with a slight frown. As he spoke, both Rias and Sana breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that nothing went wrong, and the reincarnation was successful and smooth. Ahem, cough, cough, I am Rias Gremory, and I am your master. Before Sana could speak, Rias on the side spoke first. Don't listen to her nonsense, I am Kana Sidi, and I am your mistress. What? I obviously own 8/11ths of his ownership. You know you are only 8/11ths. Although my share is relatively small, it is still a vital part. Moreover, I was the one who notified you when I discovered this guy. What? You obviously came to me for help, I haven't even considered that yet. That. Looking at the two noisy girls, Yayu seemed even more confused. He opened his mouth, but failed to speak for a long time. What kind of situation is this, and why do I have two more masters inexplicably? This should be the kingdom of God in the palm, that Natia said. It seems that he has successfully come to this world, and then he is trying to find a way to become stronger and take the world into his hands. Although the goal was very clear, because the goal was a little too big, Yayu didn't know what to do. The girl's quarrel in his ears continued, but Yayu was completely trapped in his own world. He stood up and planned to leave here first. Before conquering the world or something, let's get to know the world well. Wait a minute, you are not allowed to leave. But just when Yayu wanted to leave, Rias and Sana pulled his sleeves in unison, making him stop. Are you kidding me? How could I let him leave so casually after spending so much time creating a dependent? These are 11 demon chess pieces, capable of creating a powerful demon kinsman. In the end, it was used by him alone. What do you want to do when you fall to the ground? I don't know you. Yayu looked at the two girls in confusion, not understanding what they wanted to do. Is this how you treat your master and savior? That's right, if it weren't for us, you don't know how long you would have been frozen. The two girls said this, and Yayu finally remembered what state he was in not long ago. It seemed that something went wrong while crossing the world, which caused the power in his body to go berserk again. He froze himself for self-protection and fell into a mechanism similar to hibernation. Although I don't know what the two girls in front of me did, it is true that if it weren't for them, I'm afraid I would have slept like this until the rampant power of frost swallowed me up and then destroyed the entire world. Of course, it is also possible that he will be killed by the strong man in this world before that. According to Naishanisa, there seem to be many strong people in this world. At this time, Yayu also noticed that the two girls in front of him did not seem to be simple. They had a very obscure power in their bodies that made him feel very kind. Kind. Why is it friendly? Yayu felt even more confused. He shook his head, cleared his thoughts, and then spoke slowly. I'm grateful to you two for saving me, but even so, it doesn't mean that I have to become your slave. Calling yourself my master is a bit too much, right? Yayu said this and touched the tip of his nose helplessly. What, you don't understand the current situation, do you? Master is not joking. We two are not ordinary human girls, we are demons. Of course, you are not an ordinary human either, you are a body. There are humans with powerful artifacts in them. Devil, artifact. Yayu blinked his eyes stupidly. He naturally understood what it was like to be a demon. There were such creatures in the small garden, and as for the artifact, could it be said that it was? Yayu's palm couldn't help but fall on his heart, and the appearance of the jet-black monster sword that once killed Gilgamesh emerged in his mind little by little. What exactly happened in the inherent barrier? Yayu's memory has been blurred, but the sword is deeply imprinted in his mind. I don't know why, but when I think of that sword, Yayu only feels endless disgust in his heart. Well, it's normal that you don't know. Let me explain it a little bit. Seeing Yayushin's expression, Rias naturally thought that he didn't know what she and Sana were talking about, so she started talking about the war between demons, angels, fallen angels, and the demons used by reincarnated demons. A series of things such as the chess pieces and the artifacts lodged in the human body were told to Yayu. So, you have become our dependent now, so naturally we are your masters. What Ria said was not complicated. Maybe ordinary people would not be able to accept such words, but Yayu accepted it very calmly. Just when Sana and Rias were surprised by Yayu's dull reaction, Yayu's question stunned the two girls. If I understand correctly, the ritual of demon reincarnation is a ritual performed by a pure-blooded demon holding the king chess piece. Then why are both of you my masters? And I do feel that. Yes, I have a wonderful feeling of intimacy with you two, which proves that you are not lying. The two women looked at each other involuntarily, not knowing how to answer Yayu's question. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 205. Intuition told Yayu that things were not that simple, and the two girls must be hiding something from him. In fact, it was indeed the case. The two of them were indeed hiding something from him. After he raised such a question, the two women were stunned and hesitated for a long time without saying a word. That. Let me explain. Sana pushed up her glasses and stood in front of Rias. First of all, we apologize for performing the reincarnation ceremony on you without your consent. But please also hope that you can understand our good intentions. After all, our actions are also to protect your safety. As Kang Na said this, Yayu nodded slightly. He had just heard Kang Na say about the fallen angel hunting the artifact holder. But in fact, the reason why fallen angels hunt artifact holders is because they are afraid that these artifact holders will make an agreement with demons, reincarnate into demons, and become their powerful enemies. In the end, this is a question of unclear cause and effect. In fact, the fundamental reason is that innocent people are involved in the war between angels, demons, and fallen angels. Although Yayu didn't feel too cold about Kang Na's attitude of actually saving you, but since the other party was indeed sincerely apologizing, he still gave him face and didn't say anything. Although Kang Na's attitude, it is true that she is a little arrogant, but maybe it is also because of her status as a devil, right? It can be felt that even if they are demons, the two girls are not ordinary demons. I am afraid that they are noble blood beings among demons. Even if he is not a demon of noble blood, it is natural for a demon to feel arrogant when facing a human. Wait a minute, I seem to be a demon now, and a demon who is the dependent demon of the two of them. Dependents are, to put it nicely, but to put it in a bad way, they are servants with no human rights. Thinking like this, Yayu touched the tip of his nose. It was obvious that he did not intend to be manipulated like this, but since he wanted to conquer the whole world, he had to be related to one of the three most powerful forces in the world from the beginning. It's also quite convenient to do things by yourself. Slowly grow your own power among the demon clan, and then lead the demons to destroy the other two clans, so that you can naturally unify the entire world. Rias and Sana naturally didn't know that the man in front of them was already thinking about turning over and becoming the master. Sana, who thought he was listening carefully to her explanation, paused and continued to speak. When we found you, your whole body was completely covered in frost. It was initially speculated that the artifact was running rampant. This situation is very dangerous. You may destroy yourself or everything around you at any time. If this power attracts fallen angels, you will also die. So I made a prompt decision and brought you to my home, and then started the devil's reincarnation ritual. If you become a devil, you will naturally be much stronger than you as a human. It is also possible to control the rampaging artifact. Yayu nodded lightly. Until now, it seemed that nothing happened to Rias. Logically speaking, he should become a dependent belonging only to Kana. But what exactly happened that made Rias join in and make Sana his vassal? Although the demon reincarnation ritual is very simple and easy to operate, the only condition that affects whether the reincarnation is successful is the potential of the reincarnated person. The higher the potential, the greater the price required, and this price is the demon chess piece. Kang Na said this and sighed helplessly. I underestimated you and thought that 3 soldier chess pieces would complete the reincarnation. As a result, the result was a failure. Yayu asked, but Kang Na shook his head gently. I don't know what happened. Normally, if reincarnation fails, the chess pieces will be returned again, but when I put the 3 demon chess pieces into your body, the reincarnation was so stagnant. There was no failure and no success, it just got stuck there. As Sana said this, she looked very distressed. I have no idea what's going on, and your power is getting more and more out of control and going berserk, so I have no choice but to seek help from others. Let me explain the rest. Ria smiled and approached Yayu. The girl's long red hair slowly fell down, with a faint fragrance flowing across Yayu's cheeks. Sana had no choice but to come to me. Then when I came over and saw your condition, I threw all 8 of my soldier pieces down without hesitation, and then my reincarnation was completed. Ria said it so simply that Yayu was stunned for a moment before he realized that she had finished explaining. That is to say, I was reincarnated into a demon with the help of 11 soldiers' chess pieces. That's right, the reincarnation of the demon with the unprecedented 11 demon chess pieces. Even the developer of the demon chess pieces, Lord Beelzebub, might not have imagined that such an incredible thing would happen, right? Ria said so proudly. It was indeed because of her bold attempt that Yayu, a demon reincarnated from 11 demon chess pieces, was born. It sounds like it's very powerful. In response, Yayu could only touch his head and smile bitterly. According to Kang Na's explanation just now, there are only 8 soldiers in a pair of chess pieces, so his 11 pieces are indeed unprecedented and unprecedented. So, I am your master, and Sana is also your master. Of course, because I occupy 8/11ths of the level, most of the time you only need to obey my orders, my dear retinue. Ria said this. Sana on the side became unhappy again. The girl pushed up her glasses and spoke coldly. Who was talking about fair use just now? You 2, 4, 6, and I'm 1, 3, 5, together on Sunday. Why is it now that I just have to obey your orders? At that time, who knew that reincarnation would really be successful? I was just talking casually. Now that I have been reincarnated successfully, and it is all my fault, I naturally want to take the lion's share. It's not fair. In my opinion, every demon chess piece is crucial. Even if you provide 8, I can't lose one of my 3 pieces, so our rights as masters should be equal. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Shang. Chapter 206. Ria seemed to be yelling unreasonably, but you had to admit that every word she said was reasonable. On the other side, Shidori Sana, who was in a state of loss, was debating very wisely and calmly, and he did not fall behind at all. The only one with a headache was Yayu. Looking at the 2 girls standing in front of him arguing, he scratched his head with a headache. If these days of quarrels continue like this, it's better to spare him. Yayu doesn't think he can persist. What do you mean that each of your 3 chess pieces is indispensable? It sounds like these 8 chess pieces of mine are dispensable. Aren't my chess pieces also indispensable? That's not what I meant. I just wanted to express that there is not much difference in value between my chess pieces and yours. After all, 11 chess pieces are indispensable. What does it mean to have the same value? Even if the value is the same, you are still missing 5 of my chess pieces. If something is missing, it is missing. Don't change the concept. I said, you. Yeah, you looked at the 2 girls in front of him with some dumbfounding. He originally just wanted to persuade them to stop arguing, but he was quickly glared at. Okay, you keep arguing while I watch the show. Shrugging, Yayu said that he remained silent and continued to sit there and watch the 2 girls bickering. After a long while, maybe I felt that no one could convince anyone, so the meaningless quarrel ended just like that. The 2 girls glared at each other angrily, and then turned their heads away again, as if children were fighting. Yayu shook his head in amusement, walked between the 2 girls and asked. So, have you decided yet, who of you 2 is my master? Of course it is me. Answering in unison, there was quite a tacit understanding in this regard. The two girls glared at each other displeasedly, and then turned away again as if they were angry. Let's see, it's still the old rule, 1, 3, 5, 7, belongs to me, 2, 4, 6 belongs to you. After a while, Rias was the first to speak and said this with some concession. Why are you 4 days old? Because I used 8 demon chess pieces, and I only have 4 days to lose, okay. Rias said so confidently, Sana couldn't find the words to refute for a moment. No matter how hard she tried to find excuses, it was an indisputable fact that Rias had used 8 demon chess pieces to facilitate the reincarnation of the man in front of her. Okay, I understand, let's arrange it this way. There was no point in continuing the argument, and it would make the new family members laugh. Sana nodded and agreed to Rias's plan. Snored. Rias nodded with a look that seemed familiar to you. Immediately, the two women came to Yayu's side again, and then stretched out their hands at the same time. Yayu was stunned for a moment, then showed a helpless and funny expression, and held the hands of the two girls, one on the left and the other on the right. Both Rias and Sana looked satisfied. It seemed that the quarrel and the storm had just passed. Well, where do you live, and do you have any family members? Now that you have become a demon and become our dependent, many things need to be arranged, and your ordinary life will also change. As Ria said this, Sana, who was standing aside, was slightly startled. Then she remembered that when she saw him, he seemed to have fallen from the sky. Why did it fall from the sky? Could it be that it was attacked by fallen angels? Just when Sana was lost in thought, Rias continued to ask. By the way, we don't know your name yet. As a family member, it would be very rude for you not to tell the master's name yet. Call me Yayubian. Yayu. It doesn't seem to be a Japanese name. Are you Chinese? Rias opened her eyes curiously and looked at Yayu carefully. How did you come here? Are you traveling alone? Looking at Rias, who was asking this and that like a curious baby, Yayu showed a helpless smile. But since the other party has already figured out the reason for him, he doesn't need to bother making it up. Well, I'm traveling alone, and I don't have any relatives. Thanks to my parents, they left me a large inheritance after their death. In order to avoid those annoying relatives who want a piece of the pie, I have no choice but to wander around the world alone. Yayu shrugged as he spoke, and this pitiful life experience immediately made Rias burst into tears. The girl hugged him with some distress and spoke in a very doting tone. From now on you are my family, you can call me sister. As Rias said this, Sana coughed slightly unhappily. Of course, so is Kang Na. From now on, we will be a family. Rias said this with a slightly unnatural expression on her face. For the devil, the reincarnated devil relatives are his relatives, but because of Yayu's special nature, he has such a relationship with himself and Kana. In other words, she and Kana are also a family. What a strange feeling, it's like helplessly watching your brother marry a woman you don't like, but you can't stop him. Ria sighed helplessly. This strange description made Sana twitch the corner of her mouth again. What kind of weird metaphor are you talking about, huh? Although Yayu is our common dependent, don't expect me to help you with anything. Hey, when did I ask you to help me? It's obvious that I relied on me to resolve the matter this time. Ria said this, Sana blushed again, and then the girl quickly changed the subject and no longer struggled with Rias in this aspect. By the way, Yayu, you fell from the sky when I found you. Were you attacked by a fallen angel? I'm not sure about this either. I was walking on the street, and then I lost consciousness for no apparent reason. Yayu was stunned for a moment, then hesitantly said this. Kang Na nodded and immediately began to analyze on his own. It seems that the hands of the fallen angel are correct. It must have happened when he was about to kill you and take away the artifact, and the guardian of the artifact went berserk, right? The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 207. Kang Na said this to himself, while Yayu wisely chose to remain silent. Just let the girls figure out what they thought. If he said one or two more words, the secret would be exposed. After the two girls hesitated for a while, they didn't seem to come to any conclusion. The only thing that was certain was that Yayu had officially become the dependent of the two of them, and one had 4 days of control over the other. Owned for 3 days. Yayu could only accept this with a wry smile while touching the tip of his nose. Anyway, whatever he said would not be ignored. There is a clear hierarchy among demons, especially the relationship between superiors and subordinates. The master's orders cannot be violated. But at least now it seems that the two girls have a pretty good attitude towards him. Just as they said, they treat themselves as family members. Family. Yayu murmured to himself involuntarily, causing Rias on the side to turn her head curiously. Yayu, what are you talking about? Nothing. That Yayu doesn't have a place to live yet, so he can stay at my house first. Rias suggested this, but Sana immediately objected. Why should I live in your house? Wouldn't it be better to live in my house? It's great that I don't feel anything at all. Rias was naturally unhappy. When the two girls were about to quarrel again, Yayu stepped in between them with a wry smile. Well, since Rias and you already have 1 more day of control over me than Sana, let me stay at Sana's house for the time being. Of course, I can occasionally do it when I get tired of living here. I'll stay with you for a few days. Okay, since you said so, Yayu. Rias thought for a moment and then nodded. After all, the contact time between myself and Yayu is actually longer, and such generosity can also make Kang Na owe him a favor. In this case, why not do it? Kang Na on the other side didn't look very natural. Although her efforts and struggles were successful, she seemed to owe the other party another favor. It's really troublesome, but forget it, let's leave it like that. It's what it should be anyway. After all, Rias spent 8 chess pieces. In fact, on the contrary, she asked for too much. After reaching a consensus, Rias left Sana's home, and Sana also started to tidy up her house. Because of Yayu's frost, the whole room was wet. Fortunately, water magic was what Kang Na was good at, so it didn't take the girl much effort to deal with these traces. You can stay in this room. After arranging a room for Yayu, Kang Na started to prepare some things. Do you have any ID or anything like that with you? Since you have become Rias and I's dependents, you will naturally go to Kyo Academy. That is our real base. Well, I didn't bring those things with me. They were packed in the package I carried with me. As for the current package, it looks like this. It doesn't matter if you lose it. It won't have a big impact, it's just a little troublesome. Sana said nonchalantly, as the student council president of Kyo Academy, this little problem would naturally not be difficult for her. Forget it for today. You have just been reincarnated. I think you may need some time to get familiar with your body and strength. You are not the same as you were before. Tomorrow I will take you to Kyo Academy to familiarize yourself. For now, you should go first. Have a good rest. As Kang Na said this, Yayu nodded slightly and traveled through the world. He did feel a little tired. Have you become a demon? The only thing that made Yayu very concerned was the devil's reincarnation ritual mentioned by the two girls. According to them, he seemed to have become a devil now. Demons are not a rare species in the small garden. It can even be said that this race is not as powerful as the legend says. As for whether he had become a demon, Yayu couldn't tell clearly. Perhaps he didn't know what kind of existence he was from the beginning. Human. Obviously it's impossible. No human being can possibly master such powerful ice power. God. Maybe, I remember Hestia once said that since the power in her body cannot be recognized by gods, it can only be a power that can only be possessed by gods. Or maybe, I have turned into a demon now. Yayu shook his head in amusement, and clenched his fists. None of this is important, the important thing is to know that you are still yourself. Regardless of whether he is a human or a demon, he only needs to remember what he wants to do and what he needs to do. He will get the power and things that should belong to him, prove it to Nesha and Nisa, and then he will be qualified to know the truth of everything. The true image of the past, the lost and empty memory. It may not be a pleasant memory, but it also represents a part of yourself. If you don't get it back, you will never be complete. Yayu has always felt that he seems to be missing a part and is an incomplete existence. Perhaps, after retrieving his past, this answer can be explained. Sitting alone in the room and thinking like this, fatigue gradually came over his heart, and soon Yayu leaned on the bed and fell asleep deeply. At the same time, after Yayu entered the room, Kang Na on the other side also wrote the transfer certificate for Yayu. Not only the transfer certificate, but also the information in the reissued certificate. Looking at the stack of documents in his hand, Kang Na's face turned slightly red. If someone could see it, it could be seen that the girl's blush was completely a sign of guilty conscience. The reason for this is very simple, because in the information compiled by Zhou Kang, Yayu's identity was directly defined as his younger brother. The name column was also filled in with Kaitari Yayu. You can't blame me for this. If you do, blame yourself for being too careless. Rias, you must know that the two of us are still competitors. Although Yayu is a common dependent of both of us, when we wait until if the ranking game between the two of us unfolds, it will only be up to Yayu to choose which side to help. Sana knew that sooner or later he would have to have such a battle with Rias, and at that time Yayu's decision would directly lead to one side's overwhelming advantage over the other. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 208. In the morning, under the leadership of Kang Na, Yayu came to Qiao Academy. Although he didn't look very old on the surface, Yayu still felt awkward and uncomfortable after putting on the student uniform. Is there anything bad about it? It suits you very well. Kang Na on the other side didn't think so. Looking at Yayu, who had taken on a new look under her own dress, she nodded with great satisfaction. Apart from the clothes on his body, what makes Yayu uncomfortable is probably Kang Na's character. Although he became the other party's dependent, he was like a family member, but Sana was a little too attentive to him. It's not that there is anything wrong with Yin Qin, it just makes Yayu feel very strange and awkward. The feeling of being cared for like a child made Yayu not know what to say. In the end, he could only smile helplessly and let Kang Na do it. After everything was arranged properly, Yayu also successfully became a member of Qiao Academy and became an ordinary student in the school under the name of Shidori Yayu. When Yayu asked Kang Na strangely why he gave himself such a name, Kang Na turned away with a rare blush. Well, you always need a proper identity. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to arrange a transfer for you. So I took it upon myself to let you transfer in as my younger brother. Brother. Seeing Yayu's stunned look, Kang Na nodded lightly. Why don't you want to? Yayu scratched his head in embarrassment as he said this with some embarrassment. How could it be, but is this really good? Rias sighed. Thinking of his other nominal master, Yayu felt funny. If Rias knew that she had become Sana's legal brother, she didn't know what kind of trouble she would make. I will naturally have an explanation for Rias, and I didn't do anything wrong. Sana pushed up her glasses. This is a last resort. If you are not given a proper identity, how can you be successfully placed in Qiao Academy? Kang Na said so confidently. Yayu shook his head in amusement. He didn't mind that much, but he didn't know how Rias would react after knowing this situation. But I have to say that Rias abides by the agreement very much, because today Yayu is Sana's dependent, so Yayu didn't even see Rias's face. She didn't come to Yayu specifically, and she probably didn't know anything about whether Yayu had transferred to Kua Academy or not. After the boring class in the morning ended, Yayu followed Kang Na towards the student union. He asked this question out of curiosity, and Kang Na also answered it for him in detail. Don't forget, Rias's brother is Lucifer among the 4 demon kings of hell. As the sister of the most proud demon king who once launched an attack on the conservative demons, Rias is naturally more or less the successor. His brother's character. Since it is her promise, whatever she promises, no matter whether it is reasonable or not, she will carry out absolutely perfectly. For example, the fact that you are my dependent today is perfect in Lias's eyes. I treat you completely as my family member, after all, we are still competitors. Is it like this? Yes, I will do the same thing tomorrow. Tomorrow you will be Rias's dependent. At the same time, I will treat you as a competitor's dependent. Kang Na said so seriously, and then showed a faint smile. Of course, you will still be my lovely brother when I get home at night. Cough cough cough. Yayu coughed a few times in embarrassment. When he raised his head, he noticed that the 2 of them had arrived at the student union. Several girls who seemed to be members of the student council looked at Yayu, who was walking closely with Kang Na with some confusion. In their memories, it seemed that except for Shiro Samoto, who was also a member of the student council, they had never seen Sana interact with any man. Who is this man? It seems like the president has a very close relationship with him. Ignoring the curious girls at the door, Kang Na took Yayu and walked directly in, heading towards the president's room. I will introduce my other relatives to you later. They are all members of the student union. I am going to help you arrange a position in the student union. Kang Na said this, and Yayu nodded. After opening the door, you can see that there are several people waiting inside the room. It seems that Sana has notified his subordinates in advance. After seeing Kang Na and Yayu walking in, several men and women stood up and said hello to them. Kang Na nodded lightly and immediately pushed Yayu forward. This one is your new companion, and also my younger brother, Shidori Yayu. When Kang Na introduced it like this, Yayu choked again and showed a wry smile. It seems that Sana is planning to make his younger brother's identity known to everyone. When Kang Na introduced Yayu to everyone, several people in the room had different reactions. The calm and intellectual woman who also wore glasses and had long black hair glanced at Yayu with some concern. He and several girls stared at Yayu very curiously. The expression of the only male in the room was unnatural for a moment, but then quickly returned to normal. The unnaturalness of this moment could not escape Yayu's eyes. He had a little idea of the man, and he found that he saw a hint of jealousy in the other man's eyes. Envy. Could it be because? Yayu thought about this and looked at Kang Na next to him. It seemed that the reason couldn't be simpler. Being an excellent mistress and having a noble status as the sister of the 4 demon kings of hell may seem a bit unattainable, but it is natural to have some fantasies. But what does this have to do with me? My identity is my younger brother, not Sana's boyfriend. Yayu felt a little funny and shook his head, but he didn't care about what he wrote. The jealousy and hostility in the man's eyes were very light, it was just human nature. After all, they will be family members who help each other from now on. According to Sana, should they be regarded as family? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 209. President, why do you have a younger brother? But they look similar, huh? The 2 girls were whispering like this. Yayu and Kana were not similar in appearance, but maybe because they both had black hair, They felt similar. President, is Yayu a soldier like me? At this time, the only male in the room besides Yayu slowly spoke. Yes, Yayu is a soldier like you, and he used 3 of my demon chess pieces. Kang Na said this, and there was nothing wrong with her words. Yayu did use Kang Na's 3 chess pieces. As for the other 5 chess pieces, they belonged to Rias, so this had nothing to do with her. That's it? Then you are welcome to join, Yayu. I am Shiro Shijin, the secretary of the student union, and also a dependent soldier under President Sana. I use 4 soldier chess pieces. With a faint smile, Shiro Shijin stretched out his hand towards Yayu. Listening to the tone of the other party's words, Yayu frowned slightly. Perhaps to other people in the room, this sounded like a very ordinary self-introduction, but to Yayu's ears, they heard a strong sense of superiority. That feeling is like, I used 4 chess pieces, you, a soldier with only 3 chess pieces, act more honestly in front of me, you know, this is how it feels. That's it? Nice to meet you, Sajimoto Shiro-kun. Although he was unhappy in his heart, Yayu did not show it and still shook hands with the other party generously. I am Shinra Chunheim, the vice president of the student council, and a dependent of Lord Sana. My rank is queen. The intellectual woman wearing glasses on the other side introduced herself like this, and also shook hands with Yayu. At the same time, several other girls in the room also introduced themselves and reported their ranks. Well, you will be companions from now on, whether in this academy or as a demon, so I don't want anything unpleasant to happen. Yayu is a newcomer, so you should teach him more about what he doesn't understand. Do you know? Everyone nodded, and at this moment, a curious question rang out. Mr. President, you said that Yayu is your younger brother, is he your biological brother? This. Kang Na was stunned for a moment, and then slowly explained. No, but Yayu's situation is very complicated. He has no relatives and is living here for some reasons, so I recognize him as my younger brother and temporarily take him in at home. What are you talking about, President? Yayu, he lives in your house. Before the girl who asked the question had time to speak, Shiro Shijin suddenly stood up with great excitement. What's wrong, Shiro, is there a problem? Kang Na frowned slightly and looked at the emotional young man in front of him with some confusion. No. It's nothing. I just think it might be a little inappropriate. After all, men and women are different. If you don't mind, it's okay to let Yayu live in my house for the time being. Sajimoto Shiro spoke hesitantly, while Sana shook his head. Are you kidding me? I finally got the chance to let Yayu live in my home to cultivate a relationship. If I let him leave, wouldn't he be kidnapped by Rias in a minute? After staying at Rias's house, Yayu was fascinated by that guy's methods in a matter of minutes. You don't need to worry about this, Shiro. Yayu just encountered a big change, so I can take care of you if you live here. As a master, comforting and adjusting the mental state is also a necessary behavior. Kang Na's explanation seemed very reluctant, but as servants, the girls naturally would not refute or question their master's decision. Shiro Shijin stood aside, seemingly wanting to say something more, but after hesitating for a long time, he finally gave up. Okay, let's leave it like this for now. You can go about your business. I will take Yayu to continue to familiarize myself with the facilities of the student union. As Kang Na said this, he and several others nodded, and Kang Na left the room with Yayu. How do you feel, my people? As the two people walked through the long corridor, Kang Na asked with some anticipation. It would be best for Yayu to like them, but Kang Na didn't want to see any friction between his family members. Well, they all seemed to be easy to get along with, except... Except what? Kang Na was slightly startled, while Yayu shook his head. Nothing. Yayu shook his head gently and did not express his opinion about Shiroshigen. Maybe he was just a little nervous, right? It is not a good idea to maliciously speculate on others, and Shiro's reaction is just human nature. After all, he has always been the only male dependent under Sana, and he is still using 4 soldiers as chess pieces. It can be said that his strength and potential are not inferior to Shinra Tsubaki as the queen. With such conditions, it is normal to be so proud, and it is understandable for some soldiers who look down on themselves as 3 chess pieces. Although I actually used 11 chess pieces. Thinking of this, Yayu touched the tip of his nose in a funny way. Neither Sana nor Ria seemed to be able to explain well what the 11 chess pieces meant. By the way, is this really good? In my special situation, if they ask me where I have been tomorrow, how should I explain it? Tomorrow you will be Rias's dependent. As for this, I will find a way to explain it. You just need to try not to meet them. It always feels like it's so troublesome, and you can't hide it like this for long, right? Yayu shook his head in amusement. He also figured out why he couldn't see Rias today. It would be okay if it was just the 2 of them, but since they have so many dependents, they would meet each other anyway, right? Not only Sana's family members, but also Rias's family members. It's really a headache to think about it now. Now this situation can only be kept secret for 1 day. After all, the reincarnation of the demon created by the 11 demon chess pieces is probably something that even Lord Beelzebub can't imagine. Your existence must be kept absolutely secret. Once it happens, if it leaks out, I'm afraid your life will be in danger. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 210. Rias couldn't understand it, Sana couldn't understand it, and Yayu himself couldn't even understand what the 11 demon chess pieces represented. Although it sounds like he is very powerful, in fact Yayu doesn't feel that his strength has increased. It seems that the demon chess pieces are only necessary props for demon reincarnation. In fact, the number used only represents the potential of the reincarnated person, and does not substantially enhance the power of the reincarnated person. The first day of life at Kyo Academy passed like this. When Yayu just woke up from bed the next day, he felt a tightness in his chest. He blinked his eyes in confusion, and there was a fragrance unique to a girl's body coming from his nose. In front of Yayu's eyes was soft long red hair. What's going on? Why does Rias appear on his body and sleep in his arms? Well, ugh. Following Yayu's movements, the sleeping girl seemed to wake up. She opened her eyes and looked at Yayu with a smile. Good morning, my lovely family. Ah, good morning, that. Yayu, who had not yet reacted, stared blankly at the girl in front of him who slightly raised her upper body, revealing an infinitely beautiful scenery. Fortunately, my clothes were still intact, so nothing strange happened last night. Just when Yayu was about to ask such a question, the door to the room was pushed open violently, and Kang Na, whose face or mood was not very good, appeared at the door. Hey, you're awake too, Sana. Not caring about Sana's anger at all, Rias lifted the quilt and lazily adjusted her posture, sitting on the edge of the bed, exposing her flawless body in front of the 2 of them without any scruples. Pay attention to the influence, Rias, and don't forget your noble status as the sister of Lucifer, the 4 demon lords. Ah, pull, there are no outsiders here anyway, are you right, Yayu? You. Seeing Rias like this, Sana was so angry that she couldn't say a word. For the moment, let's not talk about anything else. You have to explain the matter of secretly coming to my house, right? Ha, then I also want to ask how you should explain the fact that you inexplicably asked Yayu to become your brother. When Ria said this, Sana's face turned slightly red and she turned her head in embarrassment. She didn't expect that Rias would find out so quickly and launch a counterattack against her so quickly. This is just to give Yayu a convenient identity. After all, I need to explain to my family the issue of his residence. Living in my house must give him a suitable and appropriate identity, right? Since it's inconvenient for you, then you can stay at my house. I don't care. Yeah, you can live in with any identity. There is no such thing. It is very convenient for me to be here. According to the agreement, Yayu is your dependent today. Please feel free to do whatever you want. I will go to the academy first. Sana said this, turned around and left the room, while Ria slightly stuck out her tongue, showing a victorious expression. Yayu shook his head helplessly and amusedly. He stood up, looked at Rias, and scratched his head with a headache. Okay, stop messing around and put your clothes on. As a girl, it's better to be more reserved. It's just because you are Yayu that you behave like this. Others don't enjoy such treatment. Ria said aggrievedly, and then slowly put on her clothes. Motivated by the sins of this world, Yayu has an unspeakable desire for women. But soon, Yayu suppressed the desire in his heart and walked out of the house with an indifferent expression. Now is not the time to spend time on such things. There are still many problems before Yayu. Just as Rias and Sana had discussed, Yayu, who was Rias's subordinate, had no chance to see Sana all day long. Not only Sana, but also the student council members. None seen. This situation makes Yayu a little funny and a little helpless. If it continues like this, it feels like it won't be long before the secret is revealed. Kyo Academy, old school building. It's lunch break now, and students in 2s and 3s gather together to eat lunch and discuss school gossip. Yayu raised his head and looked at the white building with ivy attached to the wall in front of him. It is a very old house. Although it has classrooms, it is not in use. I don't know why it was not demolished. Instead, it is used as the base of the supernatural research department. Because of the strange rumors, few students come near this place. Going up the old stairs, we came to a classroom. The metal sign on the door reads Supernatural Research Department. The door was unlocked and opened with a slight push. Hey, you're too late. Ria's dissatisfied voice was heard as soon as she entered the door. Lias, you're the one, just skipping classes and so on. Yayu shrugged helplessly and said with a wry smile, while he began to observe the room. The walls of the room are covered with inscriptions, and in the middle is a large dark red magic circle, which is the mark of the Gremory family. Compared to Sana's family members, Rias's family members were not many, and there were only a few people in the room. Ria sat on the sofa in the middle with her hands folded in dissatisfaction. Behind her on the left was a smiling girl with black hair, and on the right was a boy with short blonde hair. On the sofa opposite them was a petite girl with long white hair, but after Yayu came in, she didn't even look at him. Hey, pull. Is this your new partner? He looks very indifferent. The first one to speak was the black-haired girl with a long single ponytail. She looked at Yayu and gently licked her lips as if she had discovered some wonderful food. Hello, I'm Yuato Kiba. As for the last silver-haired girl, she still lowered her head and obviously had no intention of speaking. It seems that unlike Sana's side, Rias's family members are not easy to get along with.